Well, the last time you were on the show, you and Gilbert really pissed a lot of people off. So
Gilbert and Vic.
Yeah, but that was on House of Horn. Dan and Diego was not part of House of Horn, so he wore the collared shirt for us. So thank you for that, Eric. And speaking about that episode, did you get to see the comments of how many people in Seattle, your home area, did not like you for your commentary?
Yeah, I was surprised for the folks in Seattle because they're normally passive aggressive, but that was mostly aggressive there in the comments. So, it was interesting. I do wear the collared shirt for the Horn show because it's kind of a higher class crowd.
Yeah.
But I dress for the crowd that I'm talking to.
that is well said. Excellent. This is why I love having Eric on. Dan,
we're a bunch of scumbags over on What's Up Bolton. I'm all for it. I love it. We definitely that's how we are.
I'm with those people though, so I'm really calling out myself as well.
So like Pop came up to me on Sunday and he goes, "Hey, one of the guys, or some of my people on my Substack said you should go watch the ending of the episode of the Raiders Chargers preview," and because I guess one of the reporters was like, the Chargers beat has Pop and the Raiders beat has Hondo. And I just start laughing. I'm like, oh my God. So Pop didn't understand it. He's like, "Dude, you guys like to shithouse a lot on that show." I was like, "Oh, dude." I was like, all we're doing is shithousing with people on in the comment section and everything. He's like, "Yeah, that's actually a good time." I was like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, well, with Dan, he freaking goes off on a tangent about God knows what, and we go all over the place. But yeah, how was Seahawks Vikings?
It was good just to be back home and be able to spend some time with the team and get to know some of those guys a little bit better. Be in that locker room. Those guys are buttoned up. They kind of follow the lead of their head coach, who certainly is that way. Very kind of a workmanlike approach when you talk to those guys. Was impressed, obviously, with the way that their defense played, especially their defensive front. You look at Leonard Williams and Murphy, I believe they have 7 sacks each. That kind of it's where it starts for that defense. They're obviously taking the ball away. They had 5 turnovers against the Vikings. But Brosmer, however you say his name.
Yeah.
I haven't seen somebody play that bad since Nathan Peterman with the Bills against the Chargers. I mean, it was
you were there.
I was there. That's why I'm saying that. It was very similar to that performance.
And you only watched him for a half, Eric, I think, wasn't it? Or did he play the whole game? I can't remember.
I think he got replaced by Tyrod Taylor in that game, if I remember correctly.
Halfway through at halftime, he threw the 4 picks in the first half, I think.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 possessions, and it was just you felt bad for that quarterback. He just looked overmatched, like it was just too much for him. And then it makes you wonder what O'Connell is doing, like the decision making from that organization, from ownership all the way down to let two competent quarterback go in Darnold and Daniel Jones, and to hedge all your bets and go with McCarthy with the way that's gone. They really have to look at their process to see, what decisions were made and why, and where they made the mistakes.
Well, hold on, Eric. Sam Darnold's not playing well either. Remember, you called him out. He's not good.
He's playing better than that other dude is. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Darnold did not play well in that game. I mean, you're right. Threw for 128 yards. The defense did all the work, and he was competent. He didn't give the game away while the other guy did. But Darnold is going to have to play better in these got to have it moments, and I think he knows that. I think the cool thing about that locker room is, they got his back no matter what. Now we'll see if that continues, if the poor performances start stacking with Darnold. But I talked to Ernest Jones about his comments that he made, just with that emphatic, post game, speech. And he just said, "Hey, that's my dude. I'm riding with that guy, and I wanted to let it be known that it's not all about how Darnold plays; it's about how we play as a group." And Jones has really found a home there. I mean, he's kind of the guy defensively. So it's interesting that he's kind of, turned into that for Seattle, and the fact that the Rams were willing to move on from him, which we know they don't value linebackers in terms of the price point. I think that was kind of the main reason. Maybe you guys can speak to that a little more. But he is turned in kind of their Bobby Wagner, to be honest. Like he's the leader of that defense.
Vic, you got anything?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, in terms of like, I know we've had this discussion about Ernest Jones, and it was funny because we got kind of called out too because they finally paid a linebacker, and that was Nate Landman. They finally paid a linebacker, and it's like, well, see, they do pay guys. They pay their running backs, and they paid now the linebacker. But in terms of Seattle. And I don't want to take anything away from what Gilbert's going to talk about later on with the Vikings. Where are you? Are you still at the same place you were when we had you on in terms of the Seahawks? It's how far can that defense take them?
Yeah, I think it's still, you're still there because you haven't seen Sam kind of get over that threshold to be able to play his best when his team needs him to play the best. So another moment will come in week 16 when they face the Rams again. And can he show improvement from how he played the first time? I think we know what they're going to get from the defense. I think if you're the Seahawks, the running game is coming. Like you're starting to see them be more consistent running the football. And so if they can do that and just have him kind of manage the game like Russell did his first couple years there, and really lean on that defense to kind of win the game for you, then maybe they can make a deep postseason run. And then I also believe that they need to be at home for these playoffs as much as they can in order to make that run. So getting the number 1 seed, if you're Seattle, would be huge.
I mean,
and to add to that, go ahead, Fernando. Sorry.
No. If you're going Seattle or NFC West, go ahead.
I was going to go after that. I'll ask the question about the Rams, and you can go with the Chargers, Fernando. But I've been critical of Sam Darnold. I already took a shot in this show. I was trying to set you up too, but you didn't take the bait, Eric. You're being a classy guy. You're holding yourself back. But
I have a little bit of experience there, Gil.
You have
experience. He was just there too. So
yeah, and you hang out with Dan too much in these car rides where he tries to get you in trouble by what you say. But going back to the landscape, because for a while I kept saying, okay, well, this team hasn't shown much. This team doesn't have a quarterback, and I've been again crapping on Sam Darnold, but what he has is a good defense, and I'm starting to buy into these teams that have very good defenses: Green Bay, Denver, Houston. I'm like, in a year that is really wide open, why not one of these defenses? And I still count the Rams as part of being one of these defenses. But kind of a two-part question. I know we don't have you too long here, Eric, but do you think a team that has a very elite defense could maybe win the whole thing this year? I can't remember the last time a team did that. Maybe Denver 2015. Maybe they could run it back again. 11 years later. But do you think that's the advantage? And to tie in the Rams in here, and I think the Rams still have a very good defense. The secondary is a little shaky, but can they hold up? Can they get that number 1 seed after what happened with Carolina? Is it just one bad day and they'll be fine because they're not just defensive oriented? They're actually well balanced on both sides of the football.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can go back to the Broncos, because Manning wasn't playing at his best, and he was basically a game manager at that point of his career when they won it, and that was one of the strongest defense. Low key, the year that the Chiefs won it, I mean, the defense carried that team. I mean, not necessarily Patrick Mahomes. I mean, obviously Mahomes was clutch and made the plays, but the defense was really the strong point of that group that season. I think you're right. I think this is a year that a team that's led by their defense and has just competent quarterback play can win it. And the reason I say that, the top quarterbacks in this league, their teams are struggling. Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I mean, maybe 2 of those teams are going to make the postseason, and they're probably all going to be having to play on the road. So this is lining up to be one of those years like, you go back to the Bucks with Brad Johnson. You go back to the Ravens with, I'm forgetting his name, Trent Dilfer. Thank you. Even Russell Wilson when he was with the Seahawks. I mean, you could put him in there, and certainly you could put Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning, I don't even think was starting out.
That was
Osweiler.
That was the Stevie
it was
Williams,
Osweiler, right?
Yeah, the Stevie Williams game where he had 2 picks. and at halftime they benched him, and Manning went in the second half, and he won the game, and they got the number 1 seed.
Yeah, and he didn't relinquish the starting job from there.
No, that was the last game of the season that year.
Yeah, that's right. I was in Denver, I remember.
Yeah. I'll ask you about the Chargers in a little bit. I kind of want to move along the teams with number 1 seeding. Does it seem like the Patriots are one of those teams that's going to need that number 1 seeding, especially with the inexperience? They haven't really traveled much outside of the East Coast, but if you keep them, if they stay in New England, they have that number 1 seed. It feels like it's kind of a fortress for them in a sense, don't you think? Or do you feel like they're one of those teams that if they have the 3 or 4 seed, they can go somewhere else? I just feel like they're one of those teams that has to be at home. If not, it could be a crapshoot.
Yeah, I don't think they need to be at home. They've already won at Buffalo and at Tampa Bay. Those are 2 pretty good teams that they've beaten on the road. They're just buttoned up. They're solid at everything. They have one of the best special teams units, I think, in the league. That Marcus Jones dude, can score from anywhere on the field. Obviously, they're coached well on defense with their head coach Mike Vrabel. Josh McDaniels is doing a great job with their offense, and Drake May and how he's playing. I think if New England does have the number 1 seed, they're going to be tough to beat because I just feel like it's hard to play there in January with the elements and the way that they play at home. It's going to be tough to beat them there, even for a team like, the Chiefs that really aren't playing well right now. But no, I think they're good enough to win games on the road because of their defense and because of Drake May and their head coach.
Do you want to take a victory lap right now on the Kansas City Chiefs, or are you still waiting to see? I think they're going to lose this weekend. Yeah. I've been picking my spots with the Chiefs this year, and I think I've done a really good job of kind of deciphering when they're going to win and when they're going to lose. I think Houston, without those 2 tackles, Houston might take it to them this weekend, and they may beat the Chiefs up.
Yeah, I'll wait till they're mathematically eliminated before any victory laps are taken. And I didn't say that they weren't going to make the playoffs. I just said that they weren't going to win the AFC West, and I think that is going to happen.
Well, you might get the full effect. You might be completely right about them falling off that cliff. I mean, essentially, if they lost to Houston this weekend and then Dan's Chargers go in there and beat them, they could basically, they'd be at 8 losses. They'd be at 8 losses, and that's basically done. So Dan could basically put the nail in the coffin for you, Eric.
I'm sure he would like that.
He's been sending all kinds of stuff in our group chat about
taking victory laps and doing a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, they're like, if you must be a sick individual if you're loving seeing what's going on with the Mahomes. He's like, oh, I'm just put me in a hospital right now because I'm loving everything that's happening. Gilbert, go ahead.
Yeah. So should I go with the Chargers one here? Get that one going since you brought them up here. Yeah. And you mentioned the I'm gonna put you on the spot, Eric. You mentioned all the star quarterbacks are not playing well. You didn't mention Justin Herbert, so maybe he's not a star quarterback in your eyes. But he also has one good hand.
No lies told.
Okay, so I see what you're doing there. See, this is heel Eric, so I like that. But he has one hand. Maybe I know you're not a doctor. Maybe you kind of tell us how that could affect the Chargers. But do you see like a slide or kind of some kind of fade here for the Chargers with Herbert having one hand, a bad old line? They're still waiting on the running back Hampton to come back. The defense has actually been up and down for a while now. Yeah. They have a difficult schedule starting against Philly on Monday night. So I'll put the question to you: how many wins do the Chargers need to make the playoffs, and can they get to that number?
I think the number's 10, and I think they can get to it. And give Justin credit; he's been playing injured, playing behind a makeshift offensive line, and really kind of willing those teams to victories by the way that he's played, both, making plays with his arm, making plays with his feet. So, give him credit. I don't think we can take that away from him. But I still don't feel like he's, playing like one of the top 5 or 8 quarterbacks in the league statistically when you look at it. And obviously there's reasons for that. That said, Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the league. And I just feel like he is able to kind of get guys motivated week in and week out, which I think is one of the hardest things to do in the NFL. And I think some coaches like McVay and Shanahan that are considered kind of X's and O's guys don't really get credit for their ability to manage and lead on a week in, week out basis. And Gil, I think you've seen that from covering the Rams. Like, it's pretty rare that McVay's teams just get smacked. Like, they usually show up every week and are competitive. And that to me is a sign of a good coach that really has the pulse of his team. And I put Harbaugh in that category. Like, that was surprising that they got waxed by the Jaguars a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You don't see that. And so
a player told me we never got off the plane.
Oof. Yeah,
true.
I mean, it certainly looked like that the way that they played. You don't expect that against Jacksonville. But that said, for the most part, week in, week out, Chargers show up. They're buttoned up. They make teams beat them. And so I think down the stretch, that's going to mean that they're going to be able to get to 10 wins. And I think if they get to 10 wins in the AFC, I think they have a pretty good shot to move on.
Fernando's pretty happy because I asked him that question yesterday, and I said 11 wins. I think Victor said 11 also, and Fernando went 10, which I think it's a little low when you look at the all the teams in the race for the AFC. But hey, a lot of teams have a bunch of difficult schedules, so maybe 2 is enough. 2 more wins.
The only team that to me had a difficult or an easy schedule was Houston. Eric, to me, everybody else has a very tough schedule. Like even the Broncos, who a lot of people right now are taking victory laps on. I'm like, it's only December, the beginning of December. But even Denver has a tough stretch. They play Green Bay. They still go to Kansas City. They still have the Chargers. I know this one I'm going to sound like a psychopath, but they still have to go to the Raiders, and that's not going to be a gimme, especially because last game they almost lost to the Raiders at home. So Denver, I mean, the Chargers, I know they need to win their games, but the AFC West is still a 2-team race, in my opinion. I don't think it's a 3-team race anymore. It's a 2-team race. But I feel like there is a lot of tough games right there. In the Colts. The Colts have a very tough schedule to end. Buffalo still has to play Cincy this weekend. Then they still have to go to New England. They still play at Philly. Like that's there's a lot of tough games. So that's why I had put it at 10.
Too.
Yeah, Jacksonville. So that's why I put it at 10, because I said 2 more wins and I think you're in. You get 3, then you might be fighting for the division at 3 wins, but it might be a tough go. The good thing is that they play Houston at home. They play the Eagles at home, and then they just have to win one of those 3. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win these games, but they have to win a road game or 2 to really put themselves in there.
Yeah, that's what I was factoring in, the fact that they play Houston, so that would give them the tiebreaker over them. And then I think AFC conference record, aren't they one of the better?
They're 6-2 in the conference.
Right, which is another tiebreaker. So if they get to 10 wins and another team's at 10 wins, like Houston, and they have the head-to-head, that would give them the tiebreaker to be able to move on.
Yeah. Vic, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I have something here for you, Eric. So I asked the guys a couple of weeks ago. It's before all the craziness this weekend that happened. And so this is how they have it as of before week 13. Fernando has the Bills as the 5th seed, the Chiefs as the 6th seed, and the Texans as the 7th seed. He has I think he had the Chargers out. So did Gilbert. He has the Bills as the 5th, the Jaguars as the 6th, and the Texans as the 7th. So my question to you here, before I asked you about the race here.
You got to throw Dan's team in there too. I'm sure Eric would love to hear what. I bet you Eric could know one team that Dan put in there.
No, we didn't ask that.
Oh, my bad. Okay, my bad. Okay.
And for context, we kept the same division leaders at the time, and at the time
we kept the same division leaders at the same time. So this is gonna lead right into my question about the AFC South division. So first, I want to know because the division leaders haven't changed. It's still the Colts, the Patriots. Now it's the Ravens, I guess, and the Broncos. So if those stay the same, who would be your 5th, 6th, and 7th seeds as of right now, Eric?
No, but Jacksonville did pass Indy on the tiebreaker.
Yes, that is true. Right. Yeah.
So if those stay the same, that you're asking who my wild cards would be?
Yes.
Okay. Buffalo, Chargers, Texans.
Okay.
I think I'd have to go Texans over Indy because the Texans are playing better.
Piggybacking off of that, Vic, are you cool if I piggyback off of that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So do you believe that this is a different year in where those 3 wild cards could go into the stadium of another team and beat, like a Buffalo could go into Denver? Is that, do you feel like we're kind of at that point this year, especially with all the craziness that's happened?
Especially in the AFC. I mean, Denver's the number 1 seed, and y'all know how I feel about Denver. Like I mean, they keep winning games. But
Hold on. I know what you're going. Hold on, let me. That's a fraud alert, Eric. That's a fraud alert.
I mean, give them credit for winning the games, but it hasn't been pretty.
They almost lost to Marcus Mariota. If Larry blocks Benito, Mariota wins that game. That running back was wide open.
He was wide open. All Mario had to do is pump fake and throw it around him, and it was a 2-point conversion. So, but that's why he's the backup.
He's a backup.
So yeah, they're definitely not world beaters. You definitely can get Denver. They're going to give you opportunities. And so if you're telling me Buffalo's going to Denver, I mean, Josh Allen, Bo Nix, I kind of like Josh Allen there. And then I think the other thing is I'm not a believer in Jacksonville either. Trevor Lawrence is going to do some weird stuff. And
look what he did with the Cardinals. He threw 2 picks.
Yeah, he looked like the quarterback for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Bo Nix threw one right at Bobby Wagner. Your boy Bobby Wagner keeps on putting up stats because Bo Nix threw it right at him, and he picked him off at the end of the game. Like it's crazy. What do you make of the Dallas Cowboys right now?
Hold on, Fernando. Before you move on to that, I want to make sure.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I know the answer now.
All right, Eric. So kind of to set you up, you talked about the Jaguars, you talked about the Texans, and you have now, according to you, you have the Texans. And so I want to know who your division winner is in the AFC South now, since you have the Texans. And are they out of, before you get to the question there from Fernando, which is a great one in terms of the Cowboys, are the Texans the only team that is out of the division, right, out of the playoffs right now, that's going to make the playoffs? And then also who wins this 3-team race? Because we know you have the Texans making the playoffs. So who's winning that division, the AFC South?
Yeah, I have the Texans winning the division. I think they're going to continue to ascend with the way that defense is playing. You get Stroud back healthy. They're running the football better now. And I think, D'Amico is a coach that's been there before. So I think they'll continue to ascend and win the division. And then I like the Colts to sneak in as the wild card and the Jags to fall off.
Oh, shit. That's a good one. All right. Eric explained it the way we all wanted to hear it. Eric, obviously, look, I don't like
I'll be back
myself. Yeah, you're good. Sorry. I don't like to pat myself on the back. Oh, he left, the asshole, because I was going to talk about the Cowboys. So Gilbert's team last year was the Cowboys. Like, he was die hard. Well, in the last 2 weeks, I don't know what it's been, but I've picked them. I picked them against the Cowboys or the Eagles, and I picked them against the Chiefs. I just had an inkling. I'm picking them, and Vic, I know we're going to do picks in a little while. I'm picking them against the Lions on Thursday as well. But what do you make of the Dallas Cowboys? It just seems like in the last and from covering the NFL for years that Marty used to have a thing where he could get players motivated. He could talk to some of the biggest idiots on the team and be like, or the biggest troublemakers, and be like, hey, relax, take it easy. We have this season. It seems like Brian's done a really good job of trying to calm down CD and George Pickens, but just what have you made of the Cowboys so far this season? Or in the last 2, I'll give you the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're on a 3-game winning streak. Dak is playing at an MVP level when you look at his numbers. He's been playing consistently all year, but the reason that they're winning games now is the trade for Quinnen. Like up front, they're playing better defensively, and they're able to consistently stop the run now with Quinnen in there, along with picking up that linebacker Logan. So that's kind of helped stabilize their defense. They're able to get more possessions back to their offense, which is one of the top offenses in the league. And they're also running the football. Javonte Williams, I believe, has 955 yards. He's in the top 10 in rushing, 8 touchdowns. So he looks like the running back that we saw when he first came in the league with the Broncos. Because they're able to run football, they can do play action off that. Dak is one of the most effective quarterbacks this year in play action passing. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards, I believe, 12 touchdowns and a couple interceptions, has like 108 passer rating, play action. And I think they have an identity of how they want to play. And Shoddy's done a great job of giving them that, and it comes from basically when he was with Seattle and the offense coordinator for Carroll. They're running the football. They're taking shots off of that because they have playmakers that can get down the field. And then their defense is coming. It's getting. So yeah, I was one of the people before the season started when everybody was crapping on him. I was saying, actually, I think he could coach. I think he's going to do better. People are giving him credit for it. Go back. I got the receipts, man.
He did.
Take the
So, and I think it took some time because it's such a S show, around the Cowboys because of Jerry, for him to kind of work through all the stuff, the Parsons trade and all of the talk that was going on around that before the season started. But he actually kind of kept things stable, I think, behind the scenes while all that stuff was going on. And then it seems like, again, I don't cover that team on a regular basis. It seems like he has a really strong relationship with Dak. And I think if your head coach has a strong relationship with the quarterback, it kind of echoes through the rest of the team. And I think they just have really strong leadership with both Shoddy and Dak, and everybody's kind of followed in line with that.
Last question for you, Eric. Yeah, go ahead.
You want it? I was just gonna
say
no,
that's all you. I was just gonna say last question because Eric has b-ball practice.
Then I'll be quick. Do you think he'll be your coach of the year, or who do you have for coach of the year right now?
I don't know how you can't go with Vrabel at this point. I mean, to go in and do what he did with the Patriots, even though we've seen him do it with Tennessee, with a second-year quarterback that had some up and downs in his first season. I think Vrabel would have to be the guy, but certainly he would be in the conversation for what he's been able to do with the Cowboys.
Oh, see, okay, I didn't like that final question. I'm going to ask the final one. Detroit Lions, are they in or are they out, Eric?
Yeah, can we get Eric?
Do you have him on a parlay? Is that what I got to help you out here?
Well, I want to know if you think they make the playoffs or not.
Detroit's out.
He doesn't like the Dan Campbell 4th down stuff.
It's been bad this year.
Yeah, no, it's been reckless. Like even and Eric and I fight in the press box sometimes about going for it or not. But that Eagles game, if they kick those 3 or 4 field goals, they end up winning the game.
Yeah, I mean it's not just the decision making though. I just think it's never looked the same once they lost those 2 coordinators.
Yeah.
At times the offense has looked good, but it hasn't been consistent. And then defensively they've been up and down too. And at times Jared Goff has looked like the Jared Goff that played for the Rams, although for the most part he's been on point. But I think there's too many other good teams in the NFC that they're not going to be able to hop over.
Who do you have in, Eric? Like in the NFC, who are your teams in? Who are your wild card teams? Or if the standings stay the same in terms of the division leaders, or do you have the Packers winning that division?
No, I think the Bears are going to hold on. I mean, I think they're kind of like the Broncos of that conference when you look at a lot of their wins. Sorry, dude. So yeah, I think the wild cards are going to be the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Niners. And can you imagine the Niners as a 7th seed? Like you make the playoffs, you're the number 2 seed. If you're the Bears,
Chicago. Oh no, the Rams.
It'd be the Rams, or it could be the Rams. Yeah, it would be the Rams right now. So
Eric, you must
face
be tired.
49ers.
You must be tired from all his victory laps. You also said 49ers are going to get double-digit wins. They're 1 win away. So congrats there too.
I did.
Yeah. All right. So
that's why I'm making bets on these.
Well, this is what Eric has. He's got the Rams winning the West, the Bears winning the North, the Bucks winning the South, and the Eagles winning the East. Is that correct? And then you have Seahawks, Packers, and 49ers as your wild cards.
Yeah, that's correct.
There we go, guys.
Watch out for the Panthers, though. Watch out for the Panthers.
No,
there you go,
don't do that.
Gilbert's
Yeah.
Panthers.
Don't do that. Don't
Watch
do
out for
that.
my boy Dave Canales, man.
Do you have a message for Dan before you head out?
Just tell him that I'm really comfortable in my hoodie today. I wish he could see it.
Appreciate that. Is Eric D. Williams. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter and on Instagram. That Instagram game is getting strong over there by Eric. EDubNFL22, if I'm correct, right, Eric?
Yes, sir.
All right. See you later, Eric. Have a good one. See you on Monday.